I just feel that the market is still very supply constrained. Deliveries have been delayed for a number of years. A lot of you probably heard those themes of supply issues, and the demand, as you said, is extremely strong. A lot of pent-up demand, desire for experiences. So I think we're still early into the summer, and I think the airlines are going to have great summers, basically. So we're kind of in a kind of cyclical up cycle for the airlines, and I think profits are going back to above 2019 levels, and the balance sheets have been repaired a lot as well. So, like, they're in good shape, and I think there's good news to come, really.
Did you not hear, Stephen, the Bank of England governor finally joining the party and knowing what you've known and I've known and Karen known for a long time, that we're in a wage price spiral? And then I look at all those wonderful oil analysts who've got it completely wrong for the last 6 months, who are telling me that oil prices are going back to somewhere region of $100 a barrel. So aviation fuel plus the big costs on employment, aren't they going through the roof and two big concerns for the industry?
For sure, ex-fuel cost inflation is a big concern across all companies, and in aviation as well. What's been helpful in Europe, I guess, the dollar movement of the dollar helps, because they're mainly, a lot of their costs are in dollars. But again, I think what's happening is that there has been some cost restructuring and savings in other parts of the business, but as they're bringing capacity back to 2019 levels, the unit revenues remain extremely strong, and it's just really supply ahead of demand. I remember Delta, the US, had this comment at the start of the year that there was a 25-point gap in what expected capacity was supposed to be back in 2019 and what it is now, with all those delays in delivery. So there's just huge pent-up demand, Steve, and I kind of say, like, history repeats itself, because back in the 20s, post the Spanish flu came the Roaring 20s, and I just think people want experiences.
To that point, Stephen, I was looking at the easyJet numbers today. The capacity they're adding to the Greek islands, for instance, they're bolstering capacity more than 60% and saying it won't impact margins. Just did a quick search, and we're close to about £500 for a ticket there during summer, adding all the things, even picked a middle seat just to bring the price down. That is telling you it's still expensive at this stage, but the airline can see that maybe people have been making other decisions, that ticketing has been too expensive, they've left it last minute, they've gone to other destinations, but there's still the appetite at this point. So what does that mean in terms of the airlines adding extra flights, whether they're buying aircraft for the future, whether they're redirecting aircraft? How do we think about those portfolio shifts now for the airlines?
Ultimately, it comes back to the fact that we assume that capacity is about 96% of 2019 levels, and demand is well ahead of that. So that's why the airlines can afford these pricing. They either being forced to, or the management teams are being capacity disciplined, and therefore they're able to these prices. I mean, are for once, after kind of 40 years of price deflation, there is some price inflation in ticket pricing. Having said that, I mean, just to say, it may not last forever. You just have to look at the longer term aircraft orders that are being made or potentially going to be made out there for the medium term. For example, like I point to, you mentioned, Steve, Ryanair did the 300 aircraft deal with Boeing last week, and I think next week there's some comment that, or at the IATA AGM in Istanbul, that Turkish are going to break the world record and announce a 600 aircraft order. So there's definitely delays in supply, which is elongating the cycle. But at some stage, aircraft deliveries will start coming in, and there'll be quite aggressive capacity growth. But it's a while away.